500 Pacific Standard Time. Welcome back to our Emergency Center Operations and Government Talk series. Thank you for joining us again for a combined session of 10 and 11. I'm going to ask everyone to mute themselves and to turn off your cameras just in an effort to preserve bandwidth and prevent any strange background noises. I want to say I'm sorry for the power outage that caused our session 10 to be postponed. I really apologize. That was out of my hands, but I do thank you all for rejoining us today. I've done my best to incorporate all of the content from both sessions into this one so we can proceed on our original schedule. Our last session, where we're going to be conducting a mini size or a mini exercise, will wrap up the series, incorporating a lot of what we've covered throughout the series next week. I'm Sherry Lewis, State Relations Director, Volunteer Partner for the Pacific Division with a focus on California, and Megan Irk, who is our Pacific Division External Relations Lead, will be facilitating the session today. So thank you again for investing an hour with us and joining us. Today is going to be a really fun session. We'll be breaking out today in groups while we practice facilitation and collaboration. We'll be practicing how to come together as government and non-government partners to identify and satisfy unmet needs. Additionally, we're going to be looking at how to successfully facilitate a transfer of information back to the region for use after the disaster relief operation has wrapped up and left everything to be managed by the local region. So those are kind of the two sessions merging into one. We've already talked about strategies and tools. So today is about practicing the use of those tools and skills we've been working on. The facilitation and collaboration through role play will look like this. First, we'll read through the scenario together. Then we'll enter breakout rooms. Once we're in the breakout rooms, the group will assign roles. If after 5 minutes, the roles have not been assigned, then the very first person who gets into that breakout room, they're the responsible person for assigning roles. So we can't dilly-dally and waste too much time on assigning roles. I know you guys can all do it in 5 minutes and not put that person on the spot. So once the roles have been assigned, you'll take time to read through each of the roles and understand your interests as they pertain to the situation. Next, you'll engage in role play per the instructions. And at the end, we'll come back together and share the brief out from each group as time allows. So I'm hoping that we have enough time for each group to share. Here's the scenario. A large wildfire has been burning in Blue County, California. The fire has been burning for 3 weeks. A Red Cross disaster relief operation was set up more than 19 days ago to support evacuating communities. Most orders have been lifted and people are starting to return home. Several roadways have been impacted and are still closed to the public. Other roads are open by escort only. The fire has already burned through the communities of Indigo, Sky Mountain, and Sapphire. Several homes have been destroyed, but many others were saved by firefighters. The winds have changed direction and the fire has crossed a fire line. It is burning toward the town of Lagoon, where a shelter was opened at a local church to support their congregation and neighbors. The church and surrounding community is in a new mandatory evacuation zone. Red Cross shelters are open in Minersville and Spoontown, a short distance away. They are outside the evacuation zones and are not under threat. Clients are leaving those shelters and starting to go back home as the evacuation orders have been lifted in a lot of the communities. The county has asked for support for residents impacted by the new evacuation order to be moved as needed to those other shelters. Megan is going to share each of the roles with you while I start to manage the breakout rooms. One group will remain in the main room and will be recorded as part of this session. Please let me know if you do not want to be part of that group and I'll make sure you're assigned to a breakout room outside the main room. Please listen carefully to Megan as she describes each of the roles and the plan for the activity. The activity and role information is posted in the chat. Please try and open that now and let me know in the chat if you're unable to open the document. It's also going to be posted into the chats of each of the rooms, but that's going to take a few minutes for me to go into each of the rooms and do. We're going to be breaking out for 35 minutes. I will share warnings throughout the breakout session so you know how much time you have remaining to complete the activity. Jody, I see your message, no problem. You'll just be in the main room with us and you can listen along. So anybody who's unable to actively participate, please let me know in the chat and I'll leave you in the main room as an observer because everyone else will need to be actively engaged in roles. Now I'm going to pass it over to Megan while she gives you a brief description of each of the roles and and how the exercise is going to play out, or the activity, I should say.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Sherry. I'm going to keep my camera off because I'm in my car and I don't have great signal. So hopefully everybody can hear me. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you. So what roles are you going to be playing in these various breakout rooms to address this scenario? So Red Cross workers, we're going to have an ERGOMN, which is External Relations Government Operations Manager. And that person is going to be stationed at the EOC itself. Then we also need to have an ERGO-SA, which is External Relations Government Operations Service Associate, who is also a Chief Executive Officer. We also are going to have an Emergency Operations Center Director stationed at the EOC, a county worker who is in charge of ESF1, which is Emergency Support Function 1, which is transportation at the Emergency Operations Center. Then we're also going to have somebody playing the role of ERCEPSV, which is External Relations Community Partners, and he or she will be a supervisor, also stationed at the EOC. The local at the local regional office will be our Regional Disaster Officer, or RDO. And then at the EOC as well will be one of our partners, Team Rubicon, and the manager for Team Rubicon on the incident. And then the church youth pastor, who will be stationed at the local church that is running as a shelter. So those are the main roles that you are going to fill within these different breakout groups. Any questions about any of those?
Hi, Megan. I'm going to step in for a second. So there's several of you who've commented that you want to be observers only, and that's a-okay. So when you go into the breakout rooms and roles are being defined and assigned, just let everyone know right off the bat that you're going to be an observer. I'm going to create 5 rooms, so there should be approximately 3 extra people in each room. If for some reason you do not have enough participants because there are more people that want to observe, let me know and I can reassign people. So just send me a message in chat saying @SherryLewis and we can make that happen really quickly.
And Carmela has her hand raised. Hi, Carmela.
Hi, guys. So Megan, when you said ERGO-MN at the EOC, was that the EOC at the DR? Bear with me. Okay. That would be the county or city EOC, right?
Right. The Emergency Operations Center, not headquarters, not Red Cross headquarters.
Correct.
George?
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
George, you're welcome. George, you also have your hand up?
Yes. So my quick question is, one of the person in the breakouts acting as what's called a facilitator, in other words, either assigning roles or collecting information?
You can decide that within each one of your groups.
It's actually the External Relations Government Operations Manager, and that's in part of your role description.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
So there will be a facilitator in every group. And Mike,
Yeah, my chat button is not up. So, I mean, I can hear this. I don't care what group I'm in, but I can't find a chat button on this today. Is it because
right.
I'm a guest?
Do you not have a Red Cross email?
I do, and that's not the way I signed in.
Yeah, that may be the challenge. You won't necessarily need to participate in the chat as long as you can participate verbally.
Fine,
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And was everybody able to open the document?
Yes.
Great.
Okay. And I'm going to post it one more time in chat, so it's at the bottom. So anybody who has not been able to open it yet, you can grab it quickly. It is right there. And like I said, I'll post it in each of the rooms as well. If there's no other questions about the rules, Megan's going to continue to talk about the activity itself. And I'm going to do the rooms.
Great. Okay, thanks, Sherry. So as you can see on this slide, you're going to be planning for role play. So number one, obviously your first step is to assign roles. This should not take more than about 5 minutes. It may even take less than that. So you want to read through the roles, take 3 minutes to read and understand the role that you will be playing. Then identify the needs. Take 5 minutes or so to identify and discuss unmet needs that the scenario has brought up. Number 4, present interests. Take 5 to 10 minutes to present the interests of each stakeholder as it relates to the unmet needs. And then you want to collaborate to develop a plan. This should take about 10 minutes or so. Again, we're working with a truncated schedule of an hour, so we want to move through these steps fairly quickly. And then once you have all of those things together, you're going to come back to the main group and brief out to the main group using a 1-minute brief. So it's literally a 60-second elevator pitch with 3 bullet points to share with the director, the main group, and the RDO. Any questions about any of that? Great. And I'm going to stay on this main screen. So if anybody has any questions, just don't hesitate to either raise your hand or come off mute and let me know.
Okay, so now everybody, I'm going to assign you to the breakout rooms. There's 12 to 13 people in each room, so we have plenty of extras to accommodate for all 8 roles, and then all of those folks who want to be observers. Like I said, if you end up in a room and you're short someone, please send me a message via chat, those who can, at Sherry Lewis, and my name should come up right away as soon as you start typing the @ and the Sherry. And we'll get you situated as quickly as possible. And it'll probably take about a minute while we shift some people around, because we are going to bring some people back into the main room so they can participate in the activity and be recorded. So thank you very much, everybody.
Sherry, I think this is Dan. I think may have missed the scenario. Is there a scenario that's in that brief? I see the.
I just wrote it back for you. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
You're welcome.
And it's also at the top of each of the Word documents too. So if it's easier for people to read independently of the presentation, they can read it there as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Megan and Sherry.
You guys have about 20 minutes.
And let me know if you need me to change pages or screens, okay? Happy to do it.
Okay, this is Larry. Since we read the roles, our next part would be to identify needs. The essential elements of information that I see is what are the fire conditions and our time frame for mandatory evacuation of Lagoon shelter, since the fire jumped the line near that area. We also need to find out how many people they have there, or how many shelterees, and need to find out how much space is available at the Minersville and Spoontown shelters, if we'll be able to move them there. And then we'll have to coordinate transportation with the ESF 1 Kimberly, if they have transportation available, or with the CEP if there are other groups that can provide transportation, or since it's apparently summertime, being a wildfire, maybe Team Rubicon can also help out with transportation of supplies and whatnot if we need to evacuate those from the lagoon shelter to one of the other shelters.
So, manager, this is your CEP supervisor. Where would you like me to start with identifying our partner capabilities?
Well, let's check with the ESF 1 transportation person, Kimberly, and also the Team Rubicon person. Okay. And possibly, do we have a church youth pastor at Lagoon? They may have information on available transportation out of that area.
Okay. Yeah, Andrea, what are you're the youth pastor. What are the needs there on the ground?
I've got 45 people in the shelter, and they're getting really, really nervous. They've heard that the roads are only escort only out. They're not sure exactly where they're supposed to be going. About a third of the people have cars they can transport in, and the rest will need transportation. They've also heard rumors that they can't take their animals, and we've got about 40 animals. The dogs aren't in crates. We've got 5 cats in crates, and only of the 40 dogs, only 10 have crates to transport. And the people aren't willing to leave them behind. They're not willing to take them to it and have them taken to a shelter. They want them with them. And there's also some of their stuff. Some of the people evacuated with stuff that were dumped off, and they don't have any place to put it other than under their cots at this moment. So getting people out, they're starting to get quite nervous and panicky, and I need some good information I can share with them in a plan, please.
Okay, just to
animal shelters, or is there a shelter that has pet friendly outdoor?
Yeah, thanks, Andrea. I appreciate you sharing that information. So you said there's 45 people in the shelter, and about 30 or so need transport. Is that correct?
Right, and I have 5 special needs people of that 45.
Okay, 5 special needs.
You know, they'll need handicap transport.
Okay.
As Rubicon, I'd like the information on, some of them think they're not under an evacuation order anymore. So can we find out if their houses are up, if their houses survived the fire? Can we look at the perimeters of the fire? Is it away from where they live now?
It's already burned through, I think.
Well, the other fire has re-jumped the line. That's why they have to evacuate Lagoon. So we would have to check with GO SA, the Chief Executive Officer Liaison, if they have information from the Incident Command Post or the EIC on the current status of the evacuation level 3 zones, and where the location of the ones where it's been lifted. So if people live in those areas, they could return, and that would, if they have vehicles, that would lighten our load to some extent.
This is EOC Director. I have been talking with our partners with the county and other organizations and trying to arrange transportation for the people in the shelters and for their animals. We are asking for additional resources that are available at this point, and we have a map being put together on the safe routes that can be escorted or not escorted out based on the current information that available to us at the operations center. So at this time and this point, all pertinent information is available right now. This is it on the map, and at that point, we will update you as things come in more available. Thank you.
Thank you, EOC Director. That was a good report. We should probably work on stakeholder interests in case we haven't touched anyone here.
Yeah, we're still waiting to touch in with, hey, Larry, we're still waiting to touch. This is Dan. I'm your CEP supervisor. Would like to hear from our ESF1 colleague, and then go back to Rubicon. So transportation, Kimberly, what are your capabilities and capacity there as a in the ESF1?
How far are these shelters away from the two that are being vacated to the current? We need to get those people moved that are in the harm's way.
Do we have information on which shelter we can send them to?
Yeah, the question would be.
Kimberly got booted out, so looks like she's not able to respond to that request.
I guess the two other
There's
shelters
Red
are
Cross
Miners.
Shelter in Minersville and Spoontown.
Yes.
We don't really have I don't think the scenario gave us distances to each, so we may have to send people to whichever one they can get to.
Yeah, and then
or if one's full and one's
or
if one's full and one's emptier, then that'd be a factor. But I don't think they gave us information on that. Mainly, I think we should work on the transportation part of it.
Again, going back to the map, these shelters are shown on the map and has facilities, how close they are to where we're at right now. Remember, we're doing pretend, so the map shows distances. So based on that information, where they're at, we now have the safe routes to each one of the other shelters. So if they're going to be escorted, the local facility will be setting everything up with the local government agencies, i.e. fire department or sheriff or whatever. They will have transportation coming from our transportation department or the local community and people that are involved with it.
Okay. Director Parks, are you still, do you have enough vehicles for transporting the 30 clients that need transport? Or are you still in need of more?
No, I need a few more. I've got most of them covered right now. The county is going to offer us a bus. We're going to get a bus from the church, but we could use another facility way in case we have to take animals with us.
Does the bus have capacity to transport special needs or individuals that have special needs to move?
Yes, there is one with the church. The church has a youth bus that can handle people with special needs.
Can it handle the 5 people? We have 5 people at the shelter that has special needs.
I believe so. It said it can handle up to 6, so we should be in good shape. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you. And then Team Rubicon, Marianne, do you all have capacity to transport or capability to transport?
I was thinking of the road conditions, what's not open, get that straightened out, use Caltrans, use an 800 number, what roads, use the fire department. to move the people, I would actually ask someone like the shelter manager to put the people together and say, county, give us buses.
Thank you. Those are great suggestions, Andrea. Does anybody in your in the organization that you're part of have contacts at those locations already?
Well, I could use our government SA or our government SV. They might have ideas that we haven't thought of, you know.
Okay.
This is Treya, the pastor at the shelter. The people have got their stuff together. They still don't have answers. There's increased amount of anxiety. The people that do have cars don't know where, when or where and how they can get to a shelter. And I still have about 30 people that don't fit in the car, cars with the people that are here, and especially those 5 handicap needs are going to need wheelchair loaders for the buses or whatever, or somehow to, most of them can transfer into a vehicle, but it's pretty, they would need the heavy people to lift them, and I think they're better staying in the chairs. And I also have all the animals.
The church van supposedly handicap capable.
I don't know if we can get that back. It was taken when the church left, so we might have to get, when the other people left, they left in the van. They took that with them. It was out on an errand, and they just redirected. So right now we only have a few private vehicles. It's not enough to get everybody out. And they don't know where and how they're getting out. We've been told the roads are closed. The sheriff just said to get ready to move out, and he hasn't been back to give us any directions.
Are there any school buses that they could bring?
There's the people that are here are mostly older or farm laborers, and there is no links to school buses or drivers that we know of. There may be some, but I don't know of anybody. We haven't seen anybody that could drive them.
Any bus lines?
Whatever the regular county buses, they're not servicing the area. Again, we've heard the roads are closed. We're just, we're starting to see the flames come over the second hill away from us, and so that's not helping the people feeling calm and safe.
Here at the Operations Center, we've got updated information that we have a fire crew there with the Sheriff Department to help escort people out of the facilities. So let's try to get the transportation aligned, if any way possible, with any of our partners, because this is getting to be pretty expedient. Thank you.
Does the county ESF 1 liaison or transportation director have an ETA on arrival of the county bus? And I would also like the church youth bus that has special needs capability arrival time. They are en route, I assume. Does anyone have information on that?
I haven't heard, this is Trey at the shelter. I haven't heard anything back from the the drivers of the church bus.
County just said we located drivers for the buses. The one bus to the for the handicap and AFN people will be there within the next 15 minutes. Have them all ready to lined up and ready to go as soon as possible in a very organized manner, because we are very expedient getting them out on a closed circuit road that's open right now, but we never know how long it's going to be. The other bus is going to be anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. So we need to get going on this.
So I'll make 2 loading lines, and I'll have everybody who's gonna follow in their vehicles and ready to roll. I'll make a line to load the church bus with the handicapped special needs folks, and I'll have a line to load the bus. Will the bus
Assuming-
have any luggage space below, or are the people gonna have to carry their items onto the bus?
As transportation. Transportation, do we have any storage area?
Will the shelter accept pets? We've got 40 pets that want to stay with the clients.
Actually, we've got 45 pets. Only one of them is a service animal.
Of those 2 open shelters, do they have a place for pets? Because you were pretty
This should also-
adamant about the clients wanted their pets. with them.
EOC director, county fairgrounds or other county site available for taking care of pets.
They have a
And
local,
also before we worry about that, we need to find out, is there going to be a big problem bringing them on the bus? Or can Team Rubicon help with the people transporting their pets and or their possessions that they have under their cots? Probably gotta get this wrapped up. I think we have
Yeah,
about
I
eight
have to
minutes
talk to
left.
I have to talk transportation, but I believe the people only allow on the buses. The Team Rubicon, we can ask them if they can take the pets. The local sheriff said he has a SUV that could take the animals inside and a truck available if they needed them in cages. They do have the cages there to separate them. So we could get them in the truck or the SUV so the animals could get to the sheltering area. And they do have a facility set up for animals. It's not at the shelter, but it'll be close to it. But that's the most thing we could do right now to make everybody safe.
And the sheriffs can handle all 40, 45 animals that can't go otherwise, or less that can't go on the buses. The cats and carriers can go on the buses, for example. Yeah, I guess we'll go with that as part of the deal. I think we have about 6 or 7 minutes left.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question for
So-
community engagement partnerships. What ideas do you have after after going out of Lagoon and into Minersville? They're going to be at another shelter. What kind of needs do we see there for the people that are going to be the new shelter residents? Talk to CEP.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
My premise is that the evacuees are at either the Minersville or the other shelter, the Red Cross shelters, and what is community engagement partnerships going to work with to make sure they are comfortable in the shelter?
I'm still not following. I need, can you ask me again? I'm sorry.
Well, you might need something like ice. You might need cots. You might need you need disaster health services to come in and help you.
That's in talking to the shelter manager. Like Tiffany said, it's this shelters have been open multiple weeks, and talking to those shelter managers will give you a lot better idea, rather than dropping 40 people off at a shelter, give them some warning.
Hey, you guys,
Yeah,
I'm going to break in for a moment. This is Sherry. So you need to start wrapping it up and deciding what you're going to brief out to the RDO and the EOC director as to where we're at with things. So it's okay if you haven't solved all of the problems, but what are you going to brief out now to that RDO that's going to now be managing the disaster relief operation? And what are you going to share with the EOC director as to where things have left off and where they need to pick up the pieces? So that's what you should be doing this last minute.
And I'd like to thank Tiffany about the update on the Department of Agricultural, who handles all animals in the local areas if there's one available.
This is Larry. I guess the main bullet points we'll have for the briefing will be ESF1 Transportation Director has informed us a county bus, well, before that, the fire crew and sheriff's office are on scene at the Lagoon Shelter. The county bus has an ETA of 15 minutes. There's a church youth bus, special needs capable, that has a 10-minute ETA now. And the sheriff's office has a SUV to transport pets, also a truck for pets in cages. So the other remaining issues we'll want the RDO to work on will be what again for the shelters in Minersville and Spoontown?
Capacity.
All right.
Okay, and everyone is coming back into the main room now, everyone. So just so you know that your conversation will probably be interrupted by a number of folks rejoining this main room. Welcome back, everyone. I'm going to ask everyone to mute themselves now just to prevent any background noise since we have everyone back in this main room. I appreciate your patience in taking this opportunity to do this activity. With this large of a group, we had some challenges that we bumped into, especially with identifying the roles. We only have 4 minutes left, and I want to give each of the 3 groups an opportunity to brief out and let us know what information they have ready to share with the EOC director and the regional director, the regional disaster officer, who are now going to be taking over the management of this disaster relief operation. So can I hear from the group who is in the main room? Who was the government ops manager taking that role, and who would like to brief out and share with us what you're passing on to the RDO and the EOC director?
This is Larry Hill, acting ERGO manager for Group 1. Primary bullet points of interest are the ESF1 transportation coordinator for the EOC has advised us that a county bus has a 15-minute ETA at the Lagoon Shelter. Also, a church youth bus has about a 10-minute ETA now. They are special needs capable. There are a fire crew and sheriff's office on scene ready to help outload the shelter clients. Sheriff's office is also on scene with an SUV for pets and a truck for pets in cages. Our primary, for the RDO, our primary essential elements of information we still request are capacity of the shelters at Minerstown and Spoontown, and also the pet accommodations. Many of these people will not leave without their pets, and we are working on getting Rubicon to assist with people's personal possessions and also pets if there's not enough available space with the sheriff's office or caged pets on the buses. Nothing further to report. You're muted.
Thank you. Thank you. That was an excellent briefing, Larry. Let's move on to room 1. Room 1 had Deborah Smith, Larry Smith, Doug Kuntz, and many others. So can we hear from room 1?
Absolutely. I'm not sure how we're going to compete with that previous readout. Excellent. We have some specific needs. We need capacity. We'll need to understand the number of people that will require transportation, both in the existing shelter and outside within the community. That it's impacted by what information of damage assessment might play into people not being able to return to homes. We also wanted to work with our transportation and our community partnerships in a couple of ways. First of all, we wanted to make sure that transportation was enough based upon the census of people needing transportation to accommodate those individuals, but we also had a discussion on any disability integration concerns that we might have, as well as service animals and personal pets and such. So that would impact our decision making. And then we were working closely with the county and our community engagement partnership to support transitioning people out of the shelter into transportation and finding out what the capacity of the 2 open shelters outside of the evacuation zone is for new clients, their disability requirements, and what support they needed for helping clients move from transportation into the new shelters and to be settled. And I think I got all of the basics.
Fantastic work. Thank you for room 1. We have just a minute left, and I'd love to hear from room 2. Who was our external relations government ops manager for room 2? And can you give us your quick brief out?
This is Stephanie, and I was not in that role, but I was the one taking notes, so they asked me to report. But very similar to the others, we divided the problem into 3 pieces. The first was who is being evacuated out, and we got a lot of information from the church about pets, about disabilities, about total counts, and so forth. I'm realizing, listening to the reports, we weren't thinking about the rest of the community and people coming directly to a shelter rather than from the community to the church to a shelter. So that was an oversight in our thinking. But that was the first part. The second part had to do with transportation. We had not yet heard back from our transportation person, but they were checking on vehicles and on routes. And then the third part was receiving shelters, making sure we understood the capacity of both of those shelters, that we knew that it was okay with the facility owners to keep them open, that we had meals continuing to come, that we had cots and blankets and arrangements for pets and everything it takes to bring people into a shelter. So we had people working on all 3 of those aspects of the problem.
Excellent work, you guys. I know that was a nearly impossible challenge, but the whole purpose of it was to get you engaged in that conversation, considering all of the unmet needs and how the partners could come together to satisfy those needs. So I would say you all nailed it. You all deserve a round of applause and congratulations, because I know it was a tricky task, especially with this large of a group and with this diverse of people with different backgrounds. We're not all government operations people. So I appreciate your participation in the role play and in engaging in the collaboration and conversation, because that's what this was all about. So thank you very much. I'm sorry we went over a few minutes. I look forward to seeing you next week for our final session. Please remember to complete the after session survey so we can get your feedback. I especially want to know how you felt about how this session went with the technology piece of it. So thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Group 1.
Thanks.
Good job.
Thank you. Bye and thanks.